Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your girl JoJo, and I'm here with a late review for Ready to Love. This is season 7, episode 10. I was not going to do a review for this week's episode because I am in South Carolina and I don't get to see my family but a little bit of times, a few times per year. So when I am with them, I am with them. I try not to be working on multiple different things, including YouTube. So I wasn't going to do a review. I was just going to skip it. But child, I got on YouTube and typed in Ready to Love, and a whole bunch of shenanigans started spilling out. Clips, and somebody was talking about how Simone from many episodes ago, you guys know they, her and Rashid have their own reviews, had pulled out some information regarding Jeffree and her baby daddy's child. Listen, this show, just like any other OWN network show, a lot of stuff comes out on the sidelines about these shows, like Love and Marriage Huntsville does. This show does it as well. Put a Ring on It does it as well. And I can't keep up. So I probably won't be talking about that aspect. Oh, but baby, we're going to talk about what happened on Friday night. And I'm going to just let y'all know I just walked out of Starbucks because I had some work to do. So you know what that means. That means I had a grande pike roast with an espresso shot in it. And I'm not really sure how I'm going to act. I'm just letting y'all know early. But I got a whole phone full of notes. So, yeah, let's get into this review. All right, y'all. As much as I want to carry on for this review and pontificate and do the most, I don't really have time because I think my mama is waiting on me. But at the same time, I'm just like, there's so many things that we have to talk about on this review. Okay. So everyone is on their way to a secret location that nephew Tyler Perry has told them to come to. And if we've watched old Ready to Love seasons, we know that a lot of times it's kind of like a really nice location. It's really beautiful. It's somewhere really fancy. But this time, nephew Tyler Perry took him on to the swamps. And I'm going to just let you know right now, no disrespect to my Louisiana folks and Beaufort, South Carolina folk and all the other places where you might find a swamp. Don't bring me to no swamp for vacation. I don't care how beautiful it is outside the swamp. Don't bring me there for the vacation. Just take me straight to the Airbnb. Don't play with me. I don't want to get on one of them boats. I don't want to do none of that. But everyone was talking on their way about their different connections and what are they gonna do at the house and how everything is gonna be tense and all of this other stuff, right? So when they get to the house, they play a rousing game of Find Your Room. So everybody's running around. Mercedes is getting everybody pumped to, run around and try to find their room. And I just want to say, even though it didn't do her justice, okay, spoiler alert, she was up for elimination towards the end. Even though it didn't necessarily do her justice, maybe, I really do wish I had like a more playful energy when I'm dating. I could be a very serious person. I don't know if y'all can tell on these here reviews, but I do wish I had more of that energy because I always find girls like that really fun and easy to get along with. But she's running around doing that, and her and Pratt, okay, Andre, they having their little moments where they're talking to each other, and Pratt lets us know that, sometimes he wish it would have worked with him and old Mercedes. He wished they could have had more of a deeper connection, but he had to put on the chopping block because she didn't check on him when he had the COVID. And I said, let me tell you something, Pratt. Now, I like your ponytail and your tendril and your rat tail and everything else you got going on. I've grown to love it, but ain't no take backsies. Okay, ain't no take backsies. You said she didn't call you when you had the COVID, so don't be trying to act like you interested in her now. Okay, you could have forgave her for not calling you. She really didn't know you like that at the time. Y'all had just kind of met, but child, I guess, I don't know. I'm kind of like that too. I probably would have been like, oh, he gone off the show. Okay, well, I ain't calling. Is that mean? Maybe it might be mean. So everybody's running around trying to pick their room, and Sue Ann and Blake, they pick their dry room with their dry energy. Those two are a match made somewhere between heaven and hell, and I'm gonna talk about it. Okay, I know some of y'all like them. I don't care. I'm gonna talk about it if I want to, but yeah, they picked their dry room. Moving on. Okay, so Tony, Lyndon, and Morgan, and I just want to say, before they even got started on this little secret location, Tony tells a few of the guys in the car that he believes that something negative is going to happen in the house. And truer words have never been spoken on Ready to Love, because when I tell you Tony brought that energy Tony had, he brought it with him, y'all. He brought it with him. So they get to the pool table, right? Because I told you they was picking out rooms. And Tony said they're going to play for where Morgan is sleeping tonight. Linda said they're going to play for her heart. And Tony says he already knows that Lyndon is going to lose. Okay, I guess he's a good pool player. So Morgan is around there just watching the boys compete for her honor, and she's just giggling it up. She just thinks it's so cute. We're going to see if you think it's cute in about 10 minutes. But Morgan, baby, you a fool. Let me tell you why. Because you think this got something to do with you. This don't have nothing to... Okay, let me not say nothing. I would say a small percentage has something to do with you, but most of it has to do with their ego. Tony get to talking about 2 alpha males and all this stuff. First of all, ain't neither one of y'all. Tony maybe, but I'm gonna say neither one of y'all is alpha. And second of all, who cares? Who cares who's alpha, who's beta, I don't care about none of it. What I do care about is, why do we keep using the animal kingdom, wolves specifically, to describe men? Can I run around here calling myself a feline at this point? Well, you know how we felines do. We take care of ourselves. We take care of home. We independent. Felines are very independent animals. Maybe I should start talking about myself like that. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be well accepted. So I'm not really sure why we keep taking it back to this whole alpha thing. I understand we are mammals, but animals, I don't believe we are. But somebody who's well versed in the sciences, y'all can let me know if I'm correct about that. I know we are warm-blooded mammals, but y'all just let me know how y'all feel about all that. Not a red flag. Alpha is never a red flag for me. It's just like an eye roll, like what Tony say is something guys say. Anyway, Morgan thinks this got everything to do with her. It really doesn't have that much to do with her. And so then Lyndon comes to sit next to Morgan at the table while she's sitting next to Tony. Tony irritated again. Why is your shadow coming over here? I'm tired of it. What he sitting over here for? Like, why you ain't really let him know? You already know that you really only have one connection. The connection is me. So they go outside to talk. And Morgan is just like, act like you got some home training. Like, I don't like when you get like this. Tony does not believe he's acting any type of way. And I'm just looking at Tony like, let me find out you got a little nair in you. Nair might be the new word for crazy. But let me find out Morgan done brought out some of the nair behavior in you, Tony. So then we have Anthony and Suanne spending time together. And y'all can't see me doing the quotes, the rabbit ears, but they spending time together. They playing a game. I wasn't really sure where Anthony was going with it at first. I thought that maybe he was trying to get Suanne back in his good graces and kind of consider her as one of his picks. But it seemed like he was kind of closing out the chapter with Suanne and just trying to make sure they were on the same page with it, which I guess I can appreciate that. He just wants to know, did he wait too late to pursue something with Suanne? Because apparently he done started liking her now. Anthony, shut up. I don't know. Who told you to say that? So anyway, Suanne says, you definitely pursued it too late. Blake has stepped it up and he stepped up to the plate. So I think I'm really going to be concentrating and pursuing something with him, and we'll just be cool. So Anthony says he appreciates it. You know, he snoozed and he lost. I meant for that to rhyme, but the tenses didn't work out for me. So, you know, that is what it is. And yeah, they're going to close it out and just be in a friendship. So really, this point, Suanne and Blake are each other's only option, which we've pretty much known the whole time. Okay, another thing I wanted to mention just in between as I go to the next point, I'm really enjoying that the competition is between the men. We often don't get to see that on Ready to Love. We see it a little bit, but a lot of times on Ready to Love, we see the women doing a lot of cattiness towards each other and kind of doing a lot of chasing and competing, which there's nothing wrong with competing, right? I want to put that out there. That's why I use the word compete instead of chase. Chasing to me always brings cat and mouse in my head, like the cat chasing the mouse. And the mouse don't want the cat. Like, the mouse might enjoy the chase, but the mouse doesn't want the cat, which is why I never really liked the word chasing or the chase. That, especially now that it's been so overused, I really don't like it. It's something about the visual in my mind. But what we normally see on Ready to Love is the women doing a lot of chasing. And I don't care what you fellas say. I don't care because I observe your behavior. I have seen very few times where a man was chased, enjoyed it, and said, yes, this is the woman I want to be in my life. Usually they are chased, and at first they feel flattered, but then they start to run away. So I just don't always see it working out. But competing, to me, the difference is you want that person and you put your interest out there and you allow things to blossom the way that they need to blossom. Chase always suggests I'm going after somebody that's showing me absolutely nothing and does not want me. But I know what chase is supposed to mean, y'all. You don't have to tell me. I definitely get what people mean when they say it, but I'm just saying it's a relief to see the men actually in competition with each other and not the other way around where these women is chasing after them all over the house only to get their hearts broken because the men be like, I don't like that. You're doing too much. Sorry. Because women seem to actually enjoy this, right? Enjoy this kind of behavior until they don't, Morgan. It's not funny, y'all. It's not funny, but it is. It is because of the way that Morgan's been acting. It gives me a little chuckle. Okay, it's like, ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. Oh my gosh. But anyway, y'all, it's a relief to see that in the house. But let me move on. All right, so we got Pratt and his connection. So Pratt says that he's still having a hard time because although Cynthia is beautiful and intelligent and ambitious and independent, he also feels like Jeffrey is a lot of those same qualities as well, and she's available and she is wife material, which lets me know that Pratt probably doesn't know how to choose a wife. So anyway, he's talking to Cynthia in one of the rooms, and Cynthia is a little bit concerned because she doesn't really open up to Andre, even though they have a lot of deep conversation. She doesn't open up to him the way she has with Anthony. She still has some reservations. And that's when Andre lets her know, Pratt and Andre are the same person, just FYI, lets her know that he can step it up. He knows he can step it up a little bit. And she was relieved to hear him say that. She said that sometimes she's concerned about like how flashy he is. And she doesn't really need all of that. She wants to get to know him intimately. But Pratt believes that it is the flash that originally attracted Cynthia. And maybe he's right about that because, of course, all you have to go off of usually is visuals when you first meet someone. So he's probably right about that. He also starts to talk about his depth and his interest in working with the youth and in working with children. He knows that is a big passion of his, and that's the direction that he's going. He really wants to be a mentor. He's been through a lot of things in his life, and he wants to talk to the children about that, which I think is wonderful. I had a friend who, she doesn't have the organization anymore. At least she's not working on it right now. But when she worked for the school district, she started a nonprofit where she wanted to really focus on the young men, and she had the hardest time finding male mentors in our area, which at the time we were living in South Carolina. Just so many people would, I wouldn't say turn her down, but they almost turned themselves down. Does that make sense? Like they would say, oh, I don't need to be mentoring anybody. I don't feel like I'm in a position to be a mentor. I need to do this, this, and this. And she would be like, you are in a position to be a mentor because you have a story to tell and you're still actively working on your story. This is what these boys need. This is what they need to hear. I'm asking people that's got good sense and are still engaged in trying to improve their lives. I'm not just asking just any old body. And so many of the guys, even guys we went to school with, would turn her down. It was really disheartening. So if you are a gentleman and you've ever thought about mentoring, please do it. It's needed and it's desired. You are a voice that needs to be heard. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's not even going to take a whole lot out of your time or your day. So if you've ever thought about it, please do, because it's actually harder to find the mentorship than most people think. But yeah, I like that about Pratt. All right, so we see a scene of Tony trying to get the tea from Jeffrey, and we see a couple of scenes like this. He trying to get the T to decide who Jeffrey is sending home. Jeffrey is still she's remaining kind of elusive and evasive. She even does it with Pratt later on when they're in the hot tub together. She's not really saying for sure what she's going to do, and she does the same thing with Tony, but she kind of phrases it like she doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and she knows it's going to be hard and all this other stuff. And Tony is just like, this is love, this is serious, you got to make a decision, you got to narrow it down. So camera pans to Morgan, and Morgan's just like, oh, this is funny, this is real rich coming from you, talking about people needing to narrow it down, because you need to apply that advice to your own situation and let people know what's up in your own situation. So again, they have another tense conversation in which while Morgan is trying to tell him, like you trying to tell Jeffrey she needs to narrow it down and apply it to her situation, you need to do the same thing. Then she starts talking about him being kind of hot-headed, and now that Marcy isn't here, why aren't you letting me know the way you're telling her to? That's what Tony is just like, you only have one connection, you know, and you need to be setting people straight. You need to be letting Lyndon know what's up. And she was like, but you didn't do that with Marcy. This ain't about Marcy. This is about the fact that you only got one connection. You know you only got one connection, and you need to be setting these N-words straight. That's what he said, y'all. I didn't say it. He said you need to be setting these N-words straight. Translation. It's cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it. That's what he's telling you, Morgan. He didn't narrow it down with Marcy. He didn't let you know what was up with Marcy. But guess what? You better let him know what's up when it comes to him and Lyndon. Marcy, you got something. You got to, woo. Tony is on her head with it. So then we got Lyndon trying to get the tea on Mercedes. Mercedes has Lyndon in the friend zone and has had him in the friend zone for quite some time. Just like Anthony, Lyndon is trying to figure out who it ain't gonna work with at all, so he can know who to eliminate, basically. Mercedes says that right now her interest is mainly in Mark Anthony, only because even though she likes Anthony, you know, it's kind of overwhelming when the guy is very serious and he wants certain things and he's ready to move forward in a certain way, and he's got the house and he's got the kid, and you know, she's just like, wow, am I really ready for somebody that's just like this? And I'm gonna say, I get where you're at, Mercedes. I do understand your point. But to me, and this might just be my way of thinking as well, I actually would feel more comfortable with a man who is like wanting to be interested in me when he's more established versus a man that's still working on things and might be interested in me. Now, they could both work out in your favor either way, but given that Mark Anthony is still in the, what is it called? The process of receiving his pilot's license. And I'm sure you, in your mind, y'all match up because you are also in the process of excelling in the career that you want to do. I only say this because I don't know where Mark Anthony is going to go with it. So sometimes when you deal with a guy who's not where he wants to be and you guys are together and you're around him and he starts to excel, sometimes that excelling comes with a whole new attitude, a whole nother crop of women, let's just be honest. And he may not act the way that he used to act towards you, even though you've been around, you've been supportive, all of those things. Of course, we always hope things won't happen like that. The difference in Mark Anthony's case is he seems like he's been used to getting some top tier vag in his life. As some very beautiful women, Mark Anthony's very attractive. I'm sure he's used to women flocking to him. He has a certain je ne sais quoi. But, you know, pilot coochie is different from training coochie, and you just got to hope that he got the discipline to not, you know, be one of those guys that's persuaded by that, but you just never really know. And given that Anthony is already established and sure of himself and sure of what he wants, that's always a really good thing. But I'm just putting that out there. That's just how I think about things sometimes, and y'all can let me know what y'all's opinion is on it. But I just don't think she had that much chemistry with Anthony either, and that also plays into why she's moving the way she's moving. But let me know what y'all thought about Mercedes. And now we are back at the table, and I know this is what y'all been wanting me to talk about because y'all messy just like me. So Lyndon and Tony get into it at the table, and this is why. So everybody is talking about their connections and what route they're gonna go, but the conversation is kind of light, right? So Lyndon, at this point, Lyndon just like messing with Tony. He really do. If he does really like Morgan, I would be surprised. I think Lyndon at this point is just like, if I'm going to go home, y'all gonna remember me when I go home. So he look at Tony and he says, well, Tony, I just want to know about you. Like, who would you send home? And everybody is just like, whoa, 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 you know. So Tony is just like, well, it doesn't really matter who I would send home. Everybody knows who I have a strong connection with here. And as long as Morgan is here, that's all that really matters to me. So then Lyndon, I might need to call him Lindy, huh? Lyndon started being messy and he was like, oh, okay, if Marcy was here, would you have those same sentiments? Would you still feel the same way? What would be the verdict? Tony started getting annoyed, y'all. He was like, yeah, me and Marcy had a connection for sure. But even if Marcy was here, Morgan has always been a connection for me since day one. She's been my number one. So that's all that is. And no, the verdict wouldn't be any different. Tony takes it up a notch. Tony should have left well enough alone. He should have left well enough alone. But Tony said, I'm going to take it up a notch. Since you tried to say something to me, let me say something to you. So Tony says, how do you feel that I have a deeper connection with Morgan than you do? How do you feel that I've kissed her several times and you haven't? And this is what let me know, Lyndon, this is all a game for Lyndon. Most men would have started frowning up or at least getting agitated. Lyndon didn't even get agitated. He just kind of started smiling and looking at Tony. Lyndon was just like, well, since we taking it there, how about when you told me that if Marcy was here, I could have Morgan? Did you not say that to me? Is that not something that you said to me? Y'all, the whole table is in an uproar. Pratt, get up, honey. He flag on the play. Flag on the play. We need to stop talking about that. Tony is getting so irritated, y'all. I said, Tony, you got so much nair in you right now, brother. You got so much nair in you. And this ain't got Morgan's over there with her hands over her mouth like she's so shocked. And I'm just like, Morgan, again, this don't have nothing to do. Y'all, I'm shaking my purse. Don't have nothing to do with you. This is now just a competition between their egos at this point. Why are you sitting at that table shocked? I had already told you this when they was down to the pool table that this didn't have nothing to do with you. They sitting there slinging insults back and forth involving her. Like she's not sitting at the table. She ends up having to speak up for herself and say, y'all not going to talk about me while I'm sitting right here. I said, child, you might as well just get up and leave and let them argue. If the cameras wasn't on, Tony would have challenged Lyndon to 10 paces in a duel. We gonna solve this like alpha Western men. Woo! Woo, child, I was getting my life. So Tony was like, we can take it outside amongst me. And I said, Tony, we don't need to take it outside, baby. You already got aired out on the inside. Ain't no need to take it outside. So Morgan got to leave. She's had enough. They come to check on her. The ladies, some of the ladies come to check on her. Then Lyndon come to check on her. Again, same face, like same game player for him. And he's just like, I want to apologize to you. It really just came down to a whose D is bigger contest. Like I said, I didn't mean to hurt you. Tony's whole thing is he was just doing what men do when they're upset. Lyndon says, though, in the confessionals that they had an off-camera conversation and that Tony is lying. He was not upset. He was not worked up when they had this conversation, unless he was smoldering on the inside. They was just having a general off-the-cuff conversation. I said, Tony, you messed up. You got too comfortable. But Tony tells Morgan, I was just doing what men do. I was frustrated. We had some issues back and forth, and I was just frustrated. I said, see, this is what I don't like. Even though I don't care for Morgan, don't put nothing on me. If you said what you said, say you said it. Don't try to put it back on me. We was having issues. No. And Morgan was right when she was like, I don't want to be with somebody that just say whatever when they mad. And that's true. And Cynthia told her, you got to watch how people treat you when you're mad. Very good advice. Think back to when you was in your last relationship or even your current one. Think back to the beginning. Think back to when y'all had y'all first disagreement. Maybe it was a blowout argument, or maybe it was just a little squabble, but think back to it. A lot of times, however you have your first disagreement, that kind of sets the tone of not the relationship, but it kind of just sets the tone of how y'all handle things moving forward. And if when somebody is mad, they say very gutter, under the belt type of stuff to you, Is that somebody that you want to be with in the long term? If they get very agitated every time they get upset, they start yelling, they don't really manage their emotions well, is that somebody that you're going to want to be with long term? Me, I can speak for myself personally. I don't regulate my emotions very well when it comes to tears. So, very Candy Burris, just to give you an example. I will cry. If I get frustrated, I will cry. If I'm angry, I will cry. If I get worked up or anxious, I will cry. Of course, when I'm sad, I will cry. So a lot of times in relationships, guys have been like, oh my gosh, I don't want you to start crying. Like, don't. And I'm like, I'm good. Don't pet on me. We can still have the discussion. I just cry in general. Even when I'm uncomfortable, I cry. So ignore this for a minute. I'm gonna be all right. But that's something that I'm working, like I still actively work on getting in control of. So yeah, you just have to watch how people handle you in a disagreement. I agree with that. But Tony is still upset. He's just like, well, where do you want to go from here? Like, I need an answer. You don't get to do that to anybody. And again, I'll say it again. I don't care for Morgan. I'm not caping for Morgan. But my thing is, you don't get to injure somebody. You don't get to be rude to somebody. You don't get to have somebody have a revelation like that about you, and then you want to decide and dictate how they're going to resolve it, and they need to do it on your time frame. While I do understand this is a show, and yes, Tony does need to know what's up, you don't get to come in there right after argument and be like, I need an answer now. No, brother. No, Mr. Nair. Mr. Nair and Mrs. Nair. Now, how I feel, Morgan, now that you done met somebody that's matching where you at with it. I think you wanted this kind of intensity out of Tony. You wanted some reactions out of him. You getting it. It's not the favorable reaction. No, I wouldn't want none of this. I just go ahead and be like, baby, I'm gonna go home and soak in you. So in the end, the gentlemen have to decide who's going to stay and who's going to go. Everybody has pretty much solidified most of their connections except for, I would say, I'm not sure what Mark Anthony is doing, and I'm not really sure exactly what. Actually, no. Mark Anthony might be the only one, and I would say Pratt, but I feel like he's more so going to go with Jeffrey. But anyway, nephew Tyler Perry gets them all together, and in the bottom we have Suann and Mercedes. There is probably going to be an uproar if Mercedes is taken off and Suann isn't, only because Suann doesn't have any other connections. However, I know Readytolove has to think about who is going to be in the bottom, and I'm not saying this is right, but I'm really hoping they don't go the route where Mercedes gets voted off and Suann gets to stay, just so they can make sure they have some couples as finalists. You know what I'm saying? So I guess we will see how that pans out. Okay, we'll see how it goes. But you guys let me know what you thought about the episode. Were you getting your life? Because I was getting mine. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all for the next one. Bye.